other bad things happening doesn't mean that you can just like stop me from complaining about this one bad thing that's happening. Number two. Okay, that's actually, as a joke, that's fundamentally not a bad joke. Like, that actually was surprisingly not that bad of a joke. I can't believe I'm admitting this. Obviously, because, like, it's not, the receiving end of the joke is not the pro-Palestinian students or activists, but instead how shitty fucking LA traffic is.
What they did notice was this, that you have to be pretty dumb to think that the way to bring people around to your point of view is to make them late to pick up their kids from daycare. And that's what most normies are thinking. I have a kid. I have a job. And yes, I'm sure there are injustices on both sides in the Middle East, as there are injustices all over the world. But I'm going to be late for work, something you protesters on the bridge seem to have the luxury of not having to worry about, which seems kind of privilegey.
Isn't it funny that the dudes who are saying this and like chirping literally have not had like a real job in 4 decades? It's like Don Lemon. One, you're literally job bitch. You right now don't even have the professional big boy job that you once did, which was already pretty fucking comfy to begin with, and you fucked up the bag. And it's like, now you do what I do. You and I are doing the same thing. Don't act like you speak for the fucking common man by being like, yeah, that's right. Like, your commute is not a real thing, okay?
Especially among people from the region, but social justice warriors, for a lot of them, it seems like it's more about the warrioring than about whatever the cause is. If you really cared about apartheid so much, which Israel does not actually practice.
Oh, hey, this guy hates religion, by the way. Hey, have I told you guys how much Bill Maher hates religion? All religion. All religion, okay? He hates all religion unconditionally. Why is it there's so many of these dudes who are always like, I hate all religions. I'm just chirping about all religions. They never have that smoke for the religious fundamentalism at the heart, okay? At the heart of the Israeli state. The fuck do you mean? You literally just defended the ethno-state. The ethno-state specifically designed around one ethno-religion, Judaism. It's actually not Jewish at all for Israel to exist in the way that it does, but it is rather strange. Because he doesn't fucking feel that way about Muslims. This is a guy who fucking constantly talks about how ISIS is representative of all Islam and that sort of behavior. So on his own moral boundaries, he should be fucking finding Israel to be an abhorrent stain by his own supposedly atheist framework.
Arabs there vote, they serve in parliament, they sit on the judiciary. Wouldn't you start with this? With the hundreds of millions of women in the world who live under a true apartheid, a gender apartheid of the most brutal kind?
Bro, what is Israel doing to people that wear the hijab under its apartheid regime, which you claim does not exist? All matter of right-wing religious fundamentalism that exists in majority Muslim nations is also an unfortunate byproduct of Western imperialism. Also, You just said Israel doesn't have a gender apartheid when like 40% of the fucking parties in the Knesset are talking about how much they want to cover the women and how little they should be learning to read. The fuck do you mean, bro? Women must not read party.
I'll wait. Are you really speaking truth to power, or do you just think you look cool in a keffiyeh? Which is really just the new Che Guevara t-shirt. Another historical figure you never researched and so think is a hero, but was actually a sadistic, racist monster fighting for...
Bro, Che Guevara, literally, first of all, he's using the Heritage Foundation, which I love for this project. Che Guevara. Okay, before I start with Che Guevara's own personal history, I just want to mention something really funny here. Aren't you anti-cancel culture? Aren't you literally anti-cancel culture? You're fucking chirping about a dude and what he wrote in the Motorcycle Diaries when he fucking literally spent the rest of his life fighting for Pan-African nationalist black liberation directly in Africa? Hey, dumb fuck. You are older than he was, and what the fuck have you done with your career? You're still racist. What an insane fucking take, dude. What an insane take. He's literally like, yo, have you seen what Che had to write about black people back in the day? Time to cancel him. Please do not look at the Cuban Revolution and what it did for black and brown indigenous Cubans, what it did in terms of emancipation for them. Please don't look at what Che Guevara did for the rest of his fucking life. Post-Cuban Revolution. Please. Bro pulled up old tweets. It's crazy. Yeah, students have not done their research. The Heritage Foundation.
Communism, the worst form of government ever. But these are small matters.
Now's a good time to explain. Yeah, by the way, Bill Maher, the public N-word user, by the way, being like, Che Guevara is so racist. You haven't done the reading. He is such a fucking arrogant piece of shit. I despise him so much because I'm not a radlib by any means, right? As you guys know, I get mad at radlibs all the fucking time, especially when people talk about like white mediocrity or whatever. But like Bill Maher is a thing that cannot exist as anything but a white man, an old white man, okay? He's not funny. He's not intelligent. There is no version of Bill Maher that is any other fucking race, any other background, okay? They get packed up. They might get opportunities. You might be like a mediocre white lady, for example, okay? And then boom, you'll get packed up eventually. No mediocre, arrogant, shitty, unfunny person has had this much staying power with the exception of Bill Maher. You cannot be like a black man and be this fucking mid and have this much of a career in Hollywood. It just doesn't happen. So he is, in a way, unironically, the perfect representation of white mediocrity and white supremacy in that regard. It's just so bad. And as years have gone by, his quote unquote comedy has only worsened. He is just basically repeating PragerU videos now. Also, he's calling Che racist. Remember his comedy sketch was straight up just anti-Arab, Islamophobic garbage? Yeah, he fucking loves anti-Arab sentiment. He doesn't consider it to be racist. He considers it to be a brave and bold political statement. Che was so racist, he went to Africa to fight in the decolonial struggle. I think this tweet was made for you.
And scream if you love Yakuza.
Bro, stop. Stop showing me LeBron James right now.
Small matters when activism merges with narcissism. Less about the cause and more about me. Look at me.
Oh,
What?
dude, what are you doing? You're literally shitting on fucking student protesters who are getting brutally beaten down by the police right now for saying things that you are too terrified to say, because guess what? If you were to say those things, you wouldn't have a job anymore. That's right. You are a cowardly little piece of shit. You might genuinely believe that Israel is awesome personally, but you know damn well that if you were to say half of the fucking things that those student protesters are saying about how Israel is a genocidal state, about how Israel is committing a genocide and it is an apartheid regime, you would be shit canned, okay? Because that goes against the American State Department's interests. That's it. Because you have nothing else. You have nothing else to offer other than being an old, arrogant asshole. Talking about narcissism. Yeah, it's so narcissistic that these fucking 18-year-olds and these 19-year-olds are literally putting their goddamn education on hold, getting suspended, getting arrested, getting brutalized, getting doxxed to do what is right. How dare they have morals? This is the problem with so many Americans. We are so selfish, ultimately. We are so hyper individualistic. We are so materialistic. We are so hyper individualistic that, like, we are so in it for our own self-interest that we cannot imagine a world where someone does something for other people. We cannot comprehend that a human being can see the horrifying images coming out of Gaza, images that we paid for with our tax dollars, and say, this is wrong, this is immoral, we have to put an end to this. So all of these other protesters must also be grifting. If they were grifting, why are they on the side that has no international support from governments? Why are people grifting on the side that the media is regularly bastardizing and lying about and calling Hamas supporters and Iran supporters and Islamist fundamentalism supporters? Ridiculous. I despise this fucking freak so much. You alcoholic piece of shit.
Watch me. And if you like the way I'm fighting injustice, remember to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe to what? The counter protesters literally have media accounts. They are trying to unironically make a media fucking career out of this situation. It's the Zionists that actually have their own fucking personal. They have their own personal accounts. The student protesters hide their faces, Bill. Why do they hide their faces, Bill? They hide their face because they get doxxed, Bill.
In February, a sad, confused man even lit himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy, and in his last Facebook post, he said, "Many of us like to ask ourselves, what would I do if I was alive during slavery?" Interesting cocktail question, sir, and I guess the right answer is kill myself. But it wouldn't have actually fixed the problem if General Ulysses S. Grant had immolated himself and his last words were, "Hey, Lincoln, are you using that log?"
Wait, is he saying that Aaron Bushnell, instead of engaging in a radical act of protest as an airman, should have just violently destroyed the nation state of Israel somehow? Is that what you're saying, Bill? Are you going to give us the guns, Bill? What's happening? Would you be on board if people actually rose up in arms? Is that what you're fucking advocating for? Anything that you do in forms of protest is actually bullshit. Guess what? Because you're not nuking Israel, so it's bullshit. Okay, man, thanks. What the fuck are you saying? Does he believe anything that he says? I don't understand it. Yeah, he's like, why are you protesting? Join the Al Qassam brigades now.
And then last week, another sad, confused man set himself on fire at the Trump trial in New York. So you can tell yourself you're a martyr for the Palestinian cause, but it's a lot less special when the next guy does it for Stormy Daniels. I don't want to diminish how sad it is that someone would take their own life for any reason, but maybe from now on, before anyone commits an act of civil disobedience, they should ask themselves a few questions, like, is the most important thing in my life something I hadn't heard of 6 months ago? Do I even know? Do I even know what the fuck I'm talking about?
Once again, the assumption that like the people protesting against Israel's genocidal apartheid regime, they just simply don't know. Because if they did know how complex it is, then, you know, they wouldn't be protesting. They would be like me, making fun of the protesters. They would be like me, trying to both sides of genocide. They would be like me, actually, not even both siding, because I don't think he both sides it at all. I think he just is unconditionally dick riding Israel. Oh, if only you read the books that I've read that says Israel's genocide is good, actually, and totally valid. You know, then you wouldn't be protesting against 15,000 children being ruthlessly slaughtered with American tax dollars and American legal and political cover under the international community, as Israel gets to do that with our weapons that we paid for. Am
I really here for the cause, or is the cause here to bring you me? Hey, if it makes you feel good to cosplay as...
This literally falls apart. This falls apart instantly when you realize what's at stake for these protesters. Like, this is the same energy of being like, dude, you're a leftist grifter. You're a leftist grifter. You don't like what I say. Can't you comprehend that if you don't like what I say, then there are plenty of others who don't like what I say. I could be saying something else if I was a fucking grifter. Nobody grifts to the left. Nobody fucking protests an issue like this because they're going to get anything out of it. They do not get anything out of it, which is extra ironic because a guy who is getting something out of his unconditional loyalty to this apartheid regime is ascribing his own fucking guilt and his own resentment for his actions to those who are actually putting their fucking bodies on the line for what they believe in. That's what's funny about this entire process, is that Bill Maher is a phenomenally mediocre person, like an unimaginably mediocre person. And he's so fucking arrogant. And he's such a smarmy know-it-all, even though he is devoid of any kind of knowledge on the situation. And the things that he does know are just propaganda talking points that he spits out like, oh, there's Arab members in the Knesset. Yeah, that's cool, man. That's super sick. Can a Christian or a Muslim citizen of Israel marry a Palestinian Muslim and give them citizenship inside of Israel? Or do they get downgraded? The answer might shock you, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe he didn't read that book, though, I guess. Oh, no, I'm Palestinian Israeli. Palestinian citizens of Israel can't live wherever the fuck they want. They literally have housing discrimination that is codified. The state that he's defending has literally written the rules that Israel is a state for the Jews. Israel is supposed to be a Jewish state. Think about that. There is no other world in which this level of exclusion is even remotely seen as permissible. We all know exactly what it is, but when Israel does it, it's like, well, what are you going to do? Sorry, I have to defend it. Not a leg to stand on for this fucking asshole. That's why he's like, oh, I'm imagining a world where the students are actually just like me. Mercenaries. A person who once made one brave statement in his entire fucking life. An out-of-pocket statement in the immediate aftermath of 9/11 and was punished for it. So I spent the rest of my life suckling on the boot. That's right, Bill Maher, in the immediate aftermath of 9/11 said, you know who's brave? Dudes with box cutters that took over a fucking plane and directly landed that plane on the towers. You know what's not brave? You know what's not brave? Lobbing cruise missiles at their family members from thousands of miles away. He said that, and he was, of course, understandably, immediately taken over the air. Why are you saying LSF, dumbass? I'm not saying I said that. He said that. Oh, USF. Hasan, please move on. He sucks, bro. Hasan, listen to the K-Dish track. Please, K-Dot is back it up. Please go so hard. Oh my God, this dude is out of his
As revolutionaries, knock yourself out. Burn yourself out. Just don't drag Gaza into it. Also, throwing stuff on paintings is just stupid. No one sees mashed potatoes on a Monet and thinks, he's got a point, I should recycle my cans. Last week, Google employees staged a sit-in to protest their company doing business with Israel. Their T-shirts said, Googlers against genocide, but they could have just as well said, look at me, see me. And Google did see them to the door.
Wait, what? Doesn't this completely go against the narrative that he was presenting, that people are doing this for selfish reasons? They got fired. Why are these fucking assholes cheering? When you ask Zionists why Israel is allowed to discriminate against people who aren't Israeli, they say it's perfectly normal. Then when you tell them the U.S. grants constitutional rights to due process to all peoples within its jurisdiction, regardless of residence or citizenship status, they move the goalposts and say, yeah, well, Israel has to do it because terrorism. Yeah. Because the Israeli attitude, even inside of Israel proper, is identical to fucking Jim Crow South. If you ask the white man of the Jim Crow South why there is segregation, they would say, oh, we have to do that. We have to do it. It's separate but equal, but we have to do it. Otherwise, these black people are going to come in and fuck up our institutions, our establishments. We just literally have to do it. The vibes are incredibly fucked in both of those circumstances, and they're operating on the same fucking boundless racism that caused them to hallucinate half the goddamn time about perceived enemies. I think people arguing against you on this point would just say, yeah, it's still segregated though, dude. Yes, it is. Except the circumstances for black Americans now, while there is still much more room and much more economic segregation and much more white supremacy to tackle in the United States of America. Having said all of that, the situation for the Palestinians in Gaza and in the West Bank is still unimaginably worse. And I will argue against any chatter, black, white, doesn't matter, who says that that is not the truth. I have, on many instances, I have brought up the fact that if Palestinians in the West Bank and Palestinians in Gaza especially, but the West Bank as well, lived in the Jim Crow South, regardless of how fucking unimaginably violent Jim Crow South was, if Palestinians in Gaza specifically, if Palestinians in Gaza lived as though they were black people living in the Jim Crow South, that would be a positive step for their current existence. That's how fucked up. This is not to say Jim Crow South was great for black people. Of course it wasn't. This is just simply to show you how unimaginably fucked up it is in Gaza. That's precisely why you also see many black people also offer, unless they're like, you know, famous and on television or whatever, but many black people also see this on the same fucking boundaries that we all see it as. They see it as another war of white supremacist values, and they're not wrong. You're going to get clipped, good luck. I mean, I've talked about this quite a bit. I don't have an issue with this being clipped at all. I forget who said this, but I think it was like in the 50s. A point was made in the 50s about, would you ever swap places with a black person as a white person? And many white people said no, no matter what, they would not. Because of white supremacy and the conditions that black people were subjected to. I don't think any black person in America will swap places with someone in Gaza right now. Yeah, if they were rich. Yeah. No. The question was, if you were to be a rich black person in the 50s, would you do it? Anyway. Who was that author that went to the West Bank and said, I know exactly what this is? It was, Ta-Nehisi Coates. It's actually a really interesting story. Ta-Nehisi Coates talked about reparations, about Germany and Israel's relationship, and used that experience as a positive example when talking about how reparations should be given to black people in America. Ta-Nehisi Coates then went to the West Bank. And boy, did he fucking, it shook his world, okay? It shook his world to the core. Came back from the West Bank and was like, I am so sorry. I have done something unimaginably wrong. Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis is another person. 2005, Daniel Day-Lewis, my king, my goat, went to Gaza. Helped build some of the homes that were destroyed by Israel. Is horrifying. Yeah, Ta-Nehisi Coates literally was like, I knew exactly what it was. I walked through a checkpoint and in the process was stopped, where people started asking me if I was Jewish or not. People started asking me if I was Muslim. And I knew right away exactly what the fuck is going on. Yeah, he wrote a piece on the war crimes committed by the Israeli apartheid state via its occupation forces. It's Farley. Here, let her out. Let Kaya out. Let Kaya out, please. Let her out, and also, can you let her out to pee real quick too? Yeah, he's bargaining because Murat's here. What?
They fired all 28 of them the next day. Yes, Cojones Award coming to you guys next year. But maybe the question that today's protester needs to ask themselves more than any other is, why do I care so much about this particular cause? North Korea starves its people. China puts them in concentration camps. Myanmar brutalizes the Rohingya. Boko Haram kidnaps whole villages of women.
Bro, what are you saying? We're one. Other bad things happening doesn't mean that you can just like stop me from complaining about this one bad thing that's happening. Number two, we, well, with the exception of North Korea, which we are directly responsible for the famine there by refusing to incorporate them into the global marketplace, but we are funding the genocide in Israel. Our tax dollars are. You have to be literally a fucking baboon to look at this argument and go, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Why don't you care about all genocides? First of all, you don't know that. You don't know if I have covered all the other genocides or not. And secondly, can you imagine a world where, let's say somebody is stealing the purse of an old lady and you see it, okay? And you say, stop. And you start chasing after that person. And the guy goes, hey, have you not considered that wage theft is the single greatest fucking threat to the American workers, actually? Why are you stopping me? It's like, bitch, you're stealing from this old lady. I'm seeing it right now. The fuck is wrong with you? Yeah, sure, there's like other evils out there, but you're still doing the evil. These guys are so dumb. This is just simply the all lives mattering. That's it.
Women. The president of Burundi says gays should be stoned to death because they, quote, deserve it. Nothing? Ukraine? Maybe if these Google employees had the slightest idea what kind of fundamentalist, oppressive assholes they're supporting, Hamas, the Houthis, Hezbollah, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, they might take it a little easier on the world's greatest monster, Genocide Joe. Genocide, by the way, is when you want to wipe out an entire people.
Which is what Hamas said, and Hamas did.
That's the stated goal of Hamas. That's what from the...
Yeah. Israel kills fucking 40,000 Palestinians over the course of the past 7 months with American weapons and American tax dollars and American political cover. I sleep. College students say from the river to the sea. Whoa! Yo, that's fucking genocide! Yo! Hey, yo! Words are violence. Every single one of these reactionary pieces of shit, every single fucking day of the goddamn week, love, and I mean love, chirping like the most mentally ill, multiple cat having, rad libs, cackling like fucking hyenas. The moment Israel is a part of the conversation, they go, oh, bodies in spaces, bodies in spaces. You're not listening to the framework of Jewish people who want to do genocide. That's right, it's anti-Semitic. I don't care that there's Jewish people on the other side saying that they're anti-Zionist. It's anti-Semitic anyway. There's nothing wrong with having cats, okay? Calm down. Think about that. Like, he's saying words are violence, dude. I thought you were anti-woke. What the fuck happened? My man is anti-woke only when it comes to... But when it comes down to it, he loves canceling fucking Che Guevara. Quote mining Che Guevara. Not going to look at what he did for like most of his life, by the way. And fucking saying the real actions that are unconscionable here are students saying from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. An emancipatory slogan. That is the real violence here. Not the Mark 84 laser guided JDAM missiles. Ridiculous.
River to the sea means. Hamas would do that to Israel, but can't. Israel could do that to them, but doesn't. And you know...
But doesn't. They're clapping. They're fucking clapping for it. Oh my God, these people are such fucking scumbags. Oh my God. Israel could do that, but doesn't. Oh, so grateful we should be to the fucking holy state of Israel for taking their sweet time with the fucking ethnic cleansing. You know what I mean? Thank God. Oh. 75 years of this shit, but he doesn't think it's an apartheid anyway because he doesn't know anything. The only thing he has learned is to say the right fucking things so he does not come across as contentious to anyone in actual power ever again for the rest of his life. That's why under the Trump administration, he constantly chirp about Donald Trump. And under the Brandon administration, he's literally fucking taking the exact opposite stances to the things that he claimed he cared about. That's why these people constantly talk about wokeness. Has he seen the leveled buildings where nothing is left? I don't get it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. Okay? He doesn't care. He, much like Divorcelli, much like the entirety of r/World News, is just operating on pure Islamophobia and might is right politics. That's why I always say every conversation with a dick rider of Israel devolves into two fucking talking points. One, might is right. Two, Muslims are barbaric monsters who only understand force and must be fucking made servile. That's it. And he did both of those things.
And you know how you could find that out? Google it.
And then he's going to do like Orange Man bad, blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up. You're just as monstrous and a genocidal piece of shit as Donald Trump is. At least Donald Trump is chirping from one fucking perspective. He's just as narcissistic as you are. But you're a fucking fake Donald Trump supporter. You hate Donald Trump. You just love everything he does when he's not the one doing it. I do not want allies like this. I think you are a piece of shit. You are a monstrous scumbag. And I would much prefer an honest, racist Republican to a dishonest, racist piece of shit liberal like you. Okay? Because at least I know that motherfucker's a wolf. Okay? You masquerade as a sheep. And then you turn around and stab everybody in the fucking back. You portray yourself as a liberal and then regurgitate Republican propaganda. I'd much rather you openly admit what your position is and wear that fucking Klan robe and burn that goddamn cross instead of sitting there talking like you're some goddamn liberal, some goddamn progressive, while regurgitating Fox News propaganda to a T. Fucking animal. If there was any fucking justice in this planet, his liver would have given out many, many years ago. Okay? His kidneys would have fucking failed. But God damn it, unfortunately, as a mediocre white man, the perfect beacon of white mediocrity, as a matter of fact, he gets to be in this position and make millions of fucking dollars and get the best kind of healthcare possible, despite the fact that he's constantly combating his organs with his ridiculous amount of alcohol consumption.
And not to rub it in, but you know who all this posturing for a cause reminds me of? This fat guy from Florida.
Trump is so totally bad, dude. Trump is so totally bad, dude. What difference do you have in the way that you analyze Islam and Muslim people and Gaza than Donald Trump? Nothing. You and Trump are identical. You and Trump are also identical when it comes to vaccines, by the way. His perspective on vaccines is identical. You and Trump are identical on vaccines. You and Trump are identical on Gaza. You and Trump are identical on woke culture and these annoying protesters. You and Trump are identical in the way that you want to deal with these annoying protesters. Why are you still voting for Joe Biden? Well, Joe Biden also is identical with Donald Trump in many of those issues. That's probably why he doesn't give a shit and wants to vote for Joe Biden.
Who's always pretending that he's all about the cause of making America great again when plainly he's simply history's greatest attention whore. He's always finding some new injustice, from Obama's birth certificate to rigged elections, learning nothing about it and making it personal. So chew on that, my warrior friends. The person you most resemble is the guy who looks like he's always jerking off two guys at once. There it is, I got it in.